Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a great webinar for you. Tyler Maynard, who is our Director of Business Development, is with me to discuss driving revenue and loyalty with microbranding. As you all know, your PMS and other systems are full of the data you need to deliver a fully customized pre-stay experience to your guests, which is the same level of personalized service you provide when they are on property. In this webinar, we'll cover real-life examples of finding and leveraging that data to deliver exactly the message each guest needs to feel special, get excited, and act on upsell opportunities. If you have any questions, please enter them into the question or chat panels. Let's get started. Here's Tyler.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning for people on the West Coast and Mountain Time Zone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be covering the idea of microbranding through email marketing. And we're going to try to make this webinar as actionable and practical as possible. And we want to also make it as interactive as possible. So as Melissa mentioned, please type any questions that you have and we'll stop to answer those along the way. And we'll get right into it here. I'm sure lots of you know what microbranding is, but to start, let's define what microbranding is so we have a good starting point and can have the discussion from there. So the idea of microbranding is that you have your parent branding. This is your umbrella branding. It's a complete picture of who you are as a resort or property and everything that you have to offer. So in this particular situation, or this example that we're looking at here on the screen, the parent branding would be luxury resort. And we're going to get more into this later, but for this particular situation, it would be a luxury ski resort. And then microbranding is the idea that everything that your property has to offer might not appeal to everyone in your audience. And it's understanding what appeals, what parts of your property or your resort appeal to individuals in the audience and leveraging those aspects of your resort and developing messaging and creating a unique experience for each and every person in your audience. And in short, it's creating the perfect resort or the exact resort each individual is looking for in your audience. So for instance, on the right-hand side, you'll see some of the micro-branding concepts as kid-friendly or a romantic getaway. These two things are contradictory, but not mutually exclusive. A resort can be a great romantic getaway and also kid-friendly, and it's figuring out which aspects your guest and your audience is interested in and delivering that message to that individual audience member. And then jumping right in, so how do we microbrand? We hear all the time, in email marketing, we talk about segmentation and targeted messaging. And these ideas are often so abstract and too broad to apply holistically to all your email marketing efforts. And it's not really the end goal of targeted messaging and segmentation is not the end goal, but rather the micro branding is the end goal of the segmentation and targeted messaging. If we take a step back, here at Inntopia, we like to view emails as your front office when a guest is not on property, which is in reality almost 100% of the time. It's how you interact with that guest or that audience member when they're not on property. And so what we like to do, or what we're aiming to do, is interact with each audience member as if they're on property. If you think about all the time and effort you spend when a guest is on property to create a unique, customized experience, to increase their loyalty, to increase their customer experience, we want to emulate all that uniqueness and customization through email that you do when a guest is on property. So that's the really high-level idea and how we want you to view microbranding and how we want you to think about interacting with your guests through email. So jumping more into how do we microbrand, it's really the data. We want to look at the data and see what that tells us about each and every single one of the individuals in your database, what that each data point tells you about that individual and what that collective data tells you about that individual. And just taking a step back, when a guest is on property, you are microbranding all the time, whether you realize it or not. So, for instance, if someone goes to your concierge and asks for restaurant recommendations, you will give them, you most likely give them different restaurant recommendations if it's a couple rather than a family with 4 young children. So you're really customizing that experience for that individual. And what we want to do is look at the data and see what we're inferring about that individual and how we can customize that messaging to sort of do the same thing that concierge individual did, with giving different recommendations for a couple versus a family with some young children. So when some of the basic information that we have on most everyone is age, the location, so where they're traveling from, who they're traveling with, so if there's kids in the reservations, or if there's 2 adults on the reservation, so you have an idea of who they're traveling with, and past purchases, any past purchases that they've made at your property. All these data points tell you something about that individual, and hopefully you have lots of sort of enhanced data points that really paint the picture. So what we want to do is look at all these data points and then create messaging and customize content for each one of these data points so that you're delivering your resort as exactly what they're looking for, and you're sort of building excitement. So why microbrand? If we look at sort of the high level goals of email marketing in general, what we're trying to do is to drive revenue for the property or resort. Microbranding is going to do 2 things primarily. It's going to increase customer loyalty and that customer experience. It's also going to create excitement and opportunities to sell things. Through microbranding, we want to make sure we're selling the correct thing to the correct individuals. So for instance, just what I mean by using the right upsell opportunities or selling the correct thing. If someone's driving or coming to your resort from less than 200 miles away, you wouldn't want to be using that opportunity to upsell airport transfer, but you'd be maybe wanting to upsell parking, or at least use that opportunity to inform them that you have parking. So it's really selling the correct opportunities to those individuals. So as I noted in the very beginning, what we're trying to do here is give you actionable ideas. So instead of looking at your entire email marketing campaigns and your entire email marketing efforts, I really want to focus on one particular piece of collateral and things that we can do to enhance that. And where I'm going to be focusing here is on the pre-arrival. And here in Inntopia, we put a lot of focus on the pre-arrival for a number of reasons. But the 2 main reasons are that there's a huge level of engagement. These emails are opened at such a higher rate than almost any other marketing email. So your return on investment is high. And if you're going to focus on one thing and one thing to do really, really well, we should really focus on creating great pre-arrivals. Over on the right-hand side is a fictitious resort that I've created for this demonstration. It's called Sterling Valley Resort. It's a ski resort. And I just want to point out a few things before we get into sort of how we're going to microbrand this for individual clients. We've made this one page, and the reason we've done that is it's in one browser view. So in today's day and age, individuals' time spans or ability to capture that individual's eye is so limited that we want to include every piece of relevant information that we possibly can on the browser view, so an individual doesn't have to scroll down. We often hear about trying to inform individual every single thing that's happening on the property, and that's absolutely great to do that. But the highest value items should really be in this browser view, so the individual doesn't have to scroll down. You're going to see I have a hero image here, a little bit of content in the middle. This would be relevant information about the upcoming stay, or just saying that we're expecting you to arrive on X date. and then sort of 3 upsell opportunities. And these upsell opportunities, I want to be in the same view as this sort of text block. This text block is really where that guest is going to be looking, and you want to be able to catch those upsell opportunities directly in their view. If this was a Monopoly board, these would be your Park Place and Broadway. So we really want to optimize these tiles right here. Also, going back to sort of the informative versus upsell opportunities, I really encourage the advanced upsell opportunity. Informing an individual or a arriving guest about everything that's happening on the property is great, but presenting them with actionable upsell opportunities is even more important. It's the greatest or the best time to increase your share of their wallet while they're in your particular location. It's when their excitement is the highest, so their willingness to spend is also at the highest. And just sort of as an anecdotal piece of evidence, I was actually taking a trip with my wife this fall, and it was her birthday, and she's an animal lover, so I wanted to take her horseback riding, and I received a pre-arrival, and it had a little block like this about horseback riding, and I wasn't able to book it. And so I had to call in and talk to the front desk. The front desk had to forward my call along to their activity center, and unfortunately their activity center wasn't open, so I had to leave a message, and I never received a phone call. So anything that you can do with a call to action where someone can book that immediately is going to increase your wallet share of that individual while they're on property and while they're in your particular location. It's also when they're an individual, it's human nature to be most optimistic about their time on property. So for instance, someone might say, well, they're thinking and all excited about their trip that they will ski in the morning and maybe I'll book a snowmobile tour in the afternoon. If they're able to schedule that in advance, they'll most likely follow through with that and ski in the morning and then snowmobile in the afternoon. If they're on property and you're making it so that they have to book that while they're on property, they might ski in the morning and realize that they're tired in the afternoon. So they might just forego the snowmobiling. But if they had it scheduled, they'd probably continue to snowmobile that afternoon. It's also when their budget hasn't been fully realized. So things like car rentals, meals haven't been paid for. So their budget is still intact, and your opportunity to gain that wallet share is all there. So now jumping sort of back into the microbranding, that's sort of a side note on sort of the structure of these pre-arrivals and what we're trying to do and getting individuals excited about the microbranding so those upsell opportunities do exist. So one of the easiest things to do is to cater hero images to the individual or to the reservation that's arriving. So if you'll see here, we have 2 reservations. We have reservation A and reservation B. Everything about these reservations is exactly the same, but on reservation A, it's just 2 adults arriving. On reservation B, it's adults and 2 kids. So we're changing the hero image to cater to that reservation so that individual can get excited about coming. And also they can envision themselves on property or at the resort. If we serve reservation A hero image to reservation B, it would also work, but you can't really envision yourself with kids in those big mountains, and it's really putting you at the property, putting you in the mindset that where you're going to be in the during your upcoming stay. Another example of this, outside of kids versus non-kids, would be the age of the people that are visiting. If you have birth dates about the individuals, you can serve content that speaks to them and they can really envision themselves on the property. So here we have a birth date in 1951 and a birth date of 89. So I'm serving a sort of après-ski photo to the younger crowd, and then I'm serving a hero image here of an older couple skiing. Again, trying to really place that individual on the resort and build that branding that I see myself there, and oh, I'm not gonna the younger individuals aren't going to be coming to your property and hanging out with older folks the entire weeks, and vice versa, and that you're catering to exactly what they're looking for from your property. Now we'll jump into sort of some upsell opportunities and how we're using the data to sell the relevant upsell opportunities. So here we have 3 reservations: Reservation A, Reservation B, and Reservation C. You'll see the purchase line in the bottom. And in the first reservation, this individual booked a room. It's 2 kids, 2 adults. There's 2 queen beds in the room, and they've also purchased ski tickets. Since they've already purchased ski tickets, the first upsell opportunity is going to be ski rentals. Since we can see that they purchased ski tickets, we also can see that they're coming from over 100 kilometers away. So I'm going to put my airport transfer as an upsell opportunity. And then lastly, spa is very popular, and we have a really good probability of selling that. So we want to inform them that we have spa services as well. Reservation B is exactly the same as Reservation A, but they've already purchased spa. So we don't want to use that real estate to inform them that we have a spa. They already are aware of that. So let's use that high-end real estate in the pre-arrival to have another upsell opportunity. We happen to offer snowmobiling, so I'm going to be offering snowmobiling as that upsell opportunity. And then Reservation C, they've purchased spa like Reservation B, but they're coming from within 100 kilometers. So using that high-end real estate, again, to sell an airport transfer isn't the best use of space. So what I'll be using that for is using it to sell parking, or if you have another ancillary offering that you want to use that space for, that's a great opportunity to do that. Those are all pretty straightforward. And now I want to get into about inferred preferences through the data. So there's all sorts of data that you have that you can make assumptions off of individuals. They're not concrete things like age or family or no family. They're things like this particular situation, it's a room code. So I know this particular room code that this Reservation A has purchased has 2 queen beds in it. So I'm assuming that they're coming as friends or siblings, but I'm assuming they're not coming as a romantic couple or as a couple. But room B, it's 2 adults and they're coming to 1 room with a king bed. So what I'm doing here is I'm showing that we have a restaurant on property, and I'm showing just 2 different tile images for that restaurant. In Reservation A, I'm sort of showing it's a fun location, it's a great, people are chatting, it's a great opportunity, a great place to catch up with an old friend. So I'm really building that brand of that restaurant as it's a great place to go. It's not overly romantic. It's not all the couples come and visit. In Reservation B, I'm showing sort of more of a romance photo or a couple having dinner. So I'm building that as, it's a great place to, you're going away for the weekend with your significant other, come have dinner at the Confluence Grill. Some other examples of this, the way I could infer is if it's 1 adult on the reservation for 1 room, I might want to show an image of a bar with a bunch of people chatting so that individual knows it's a great place to come and meet other people and be social. Or, I could even look at, is there a rollaway bed? Did they request a rollaway bed for that room? So I'm sort of inferring that is a family coming, or it's a group of people coming, or with someone who's probably of younger age. So let's show them a family-friendly dining photo. Let's show them a family at dinner or pizza or something very approachable to bring them into the restaurant as well. And then lastly, I'm going to hop right into, we're now in summertime, and we are no longer selling ski tickets, but we have a golf course, so we sold some tee times on our reservation. So Reservation A is 2 adults. They booked a hotel room and they booked a morning tea time. And what we're showing them here in the bottom right-hand corner of the 3 tiles is the Confluence Grill again, but we're showing them a photo of lunch, and we also are showing them a hero image. We're showing them a photo of lunch, and we're also showing them, we changed the text So in all the examples I've shown you, I've just shown you changes in images. And the reason I've done that is just for illustrative purposes. But all those triggers are changing the images. We can also change the text or the verbiage that goes along with that. So this one says, you know, join us after your round of golf for a fresh and delicious lunch. So I'm really putting it in their mind that it's a great place to play golf in the morning and then come have lunch. The reservation B on the right-hand side is actually afternoon tea time. So now I'm showing cocktails on the veranda here or on the deck, and I changed the verbiage of that text block there to show, you know, join us after golf for cocktail and or dinner. So I'm really catering this or micro-branding our grill to show that it's great for this morning tea time, it's great for lunch, and I'm framing it in the exact way that that person is using the resort that day. So I know I ran through quite a few things quite quickly, but just as a, you know, the high level takeaway, it's really looking at the data that you have on each individual. And for pre-arrivals, you have quite a bit of data because they're booking and we're able to pull out information from your PMS. And you have a robust sort of view of who that individual is. And it's really making some minor edits to your pre-arrival to cater the imagery and also the verbiage to present your resort in the way that that individual would be using your resort, or in the ideal situation that they're using your resort or property when they come to visit you. And without just going too much further, I'll sort of open it up for questions here.
At the moment, we don't have anything, but I will take it off mute so people can ask their questions either over the line or via the chat or the question panel. I guess it hasn't unmuted. If you'd like to speak up and ask a question, you can unmute yourself. I'll check the chat. At this point, I don't think we have any questions, Tyler. I think you are right on to the point. So everyone is, no questions. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. And if you have any questions or this raised any sort of any thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. So please feel free to reach out to me.
One final thing just to mention is that we will post this. We will send out an email with the link to the recording. So if you wanted to review any of this or share it with any of your colleagues, we will do that. And thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.